curioso que San Buenaventura
It is interesting that we relate to Saint Bonaventure with humility. The word humility means modesty, submission, and derives from the Latin humilitas and also from humus terra, that is, lowering oneself. And St. Paul describes the vocation of God, of Jesus, in humbling himself. He humbled himself, he lowered himself. Although God, he made himself a servant, that lowering of himself is humility. In our modern language, we use this term for all kinds of things. This book, in itself, is a humble book, as if it had no value. And humility is the greater attitude of God. He lowers himself. He approaches us, comes close to us. He becomes a person. Saint Bonaventure was one of those great saints of Christian spirituality who assumed the spirituality of Saint Francis, which is humility. Charity and love were with this humility. He appeared as he was. He saw in the life of Saint Francis an experience of a very humble way, very realistic. Day after day, walking with Christ, accepting his cross. In this poverty and in this great humility, Bonaventure found his instrument to interpret the simple and profound heritage of Saint Francis. And Bonaventure organized the Franciscan order, but through this humility was the legacy of Francis. For 16 years he was the superior general of the Franciscans. Later, when the Pope appointed him as cardinal, he continued going to the kitchen to wash the dishes. He couldn't believe it. He didn't become prideful. He continued being a humble friar. He who is humble does not see if he has few or many qualities. He simply put them at the service of God. Lord, I am who am. Here I am at your service. And a humble soul like a captive soul. On the other hand, a sober soul resists, it moves away. Jesus captivated because he was a humble God. Bonaventure captivated because he was humble. Saint Bonaventure prefers the virtues of humility and patience, humility under the patience. The humble person is patient, he endures all. He hopes all. He forgives all. He is patient, like Jesus. Let us think of Jesus, the humility of Jesus, that Holy Thursday night when they tortured him, they mocked him, they hit him, they spit at him, and he suffered all of it in silence. Jesus remained silent. Bonaventure imitated him in this way, following the spirituality of Saint Francis. This Jesus nailed to the wood, this Jesus crucified, patient, taught Saint Bonaventure the humility and contempt of the dignitaries. He understood that from the Gospel, he who humbles himself will be exalted. All of the virtues depend on the virtue of humility. Humility is like a guardian, and the beauty of all the virtues. And while it makes us patient, humility makes us magnanimous. The humble person is a great forgiver. He is very compassionate with others. And Saint Bonaventure, following the spirituality of Saint Francis, was humble, patient, and magnanimous.